Marvel Rivals is now live and with 33 unique heroes ready to throw hands, shields, hammers, and water. Listen, there's a lot to unpack, alright? So before you insta-Q Spider-Man, you swing right into Hulk's fist, we should start with the basics, right? So we're going to look at the top 6 heroes in Marvel Rivals, 2 in each role that I think are the best and easiest to play as a beginner to make your starting journey a breeze. Let's start with the Duelist, aka DPS. Our damage dealers, our Duelist Kings. Duelists have really one, maybe 2 primary goals, and that's 1, create pressure via damage, and 2, try to get key eliminations. Now, there's probably not a better place to start in Rivals than with Punisher. If you're coming from any other game that you shoot a gun, then you're going to be right at home with Punisher. I'm even talking about like 007 GoldenEye. Look, he deals some of the best damage in all the game. He literally is trial by legit fire and aim training for the game. And on top of that, he has one of the best team-ups with a very popular pick in Rocket. Look, he's got an ultimate that'll make you feel like a badass on day 1. He has strong mobility. On top of that, he's good far away and up close with his shotgun. And then finally, he's got a fucking turret. COD bros, start here. Next up is Scarlet Witch, and this is my personal favorite for probably beginners to play. Wanda has an incredible primary fire that has incredibly great range, and it just breathes beginner because it has an auto lock mechanic on your opponent, infinite ammo, and the thing is just really solid all around. Now, her right click is going to be your best range attack. I like to call it your Chaos Grenade. You can charge it up with your primary, and it's good for solid splash damage if you want to kind of stay more with your team. Now, if that was enough, Scarlet also has a perfect escape called Mystic Projection. This is going to make you both invincible for a get-out-of-jail-free card, and also gives you strong mobility to get up high or go straight into the air and use her passive to hover down slowly as you rain down with your Chaos Grenades and your primary. And then you wrap all that up in a nice bow that is her ultimate Reality Eraser. That's quite literally probably the best ultimate in all of Rivals, at least damage-wise. You're going to charge up a giant grenade, essentially, that wipes everybody that's around her. And this is going to be especially fun day 1 because people don't know what's going on. There's so much coming at them. They got a Wolverine, they got an Iron Fist, and then bam, they're dead. Just be careful as people do get better. You can die easily here, so you're going to have to get a bit more tricky if you want to master Wanda. Now let's go and talk about my 2 picks for Strategists. Now these guys are going to feel best for beginners that want to feel like they're having an impact right off the bat, as you're going to be one of the few healers on your team supporting in that way, and that's much easier than being responsible for all the damage and eliminations. Now starting off, Rocky Raccoon's probably my best choice when it comes to a Strategist. The dude is just loaded with things to benefit your team with his different gadgets. His only way to deal damage is his gun that has really good ammo and range, and you can use for pretty solid damage when you're in a pinch. But then we've got his healing, which is awesome. You've got these healing orbs that automatically find their target if you're putting it in at least the right direction. It does massive healing. You can bounce them off walls if you want to be a bit more safe, and is really solid for hiding behind the backline. And while you're in that backline, you've got access to all of his gadgets, his best being the BRB device, which will revive the next fallen ally. And this is huge, guys. I mean, just having that advantage is massive. Just don't be the beginner that puts that down in the middle and then it gets destroyed by the enemy. You want to hide it a little bit out of the path, not too much, but enough to not be noticeable. It's got a big cooldown, so there's that calm, but by far his best ability. Again, guys, his ultimate is simple and just boosts damage across the board. He has fantastic mobility, and then he has one of the best team-ups with popular picks in Punisher and Winter Soldier. Now, next up is Jeff, and I mean, just look at the guy. Why would you not want to play him? But aside from his cuteness, he's also just really good for beginners, and he's hard to master, which is great to kind of learn into. His primary left click is going to shoot water and heal anybody that's in its path. It has infinite damage and is really easy to spray around to deal a lot of group healing when in those team fights. His right click is a good amount of damage that you spit out some aqua jet water, and you can kind of hold your own if you need to. And then he's got one of the best escapes in the game. It's named Hide and Seek. You dive literally into the ground. You'll get healed up along the way, and then you have fantastic mobility, and you can't get hit, making it super beginner friendly. And then lastly, guys, for Jeff, he's got health packs via these bubbles that you can spit out to heal your teammates, and they get more healing from those from your water jet. When you're starting out, just put these in the objective points or just in the direct way of your allies, and it's going to help them out massively. And then he's got one of the stronger ultimates and game-changing ones in the game that can deal damage by sucking up both allies and enemies. It's going to damage the enemies, and it's going to heal your allies. Just don't pick up teammates that don't want to be healed. But as for the enemies, feel free to keep them in there, man. Take your time, or just spit them off the nearest edge. Now, lastly, guys, we move on to the Vanguards. Now, I would say out of both the roles, this is definitely going to be the hardest and least beginner-friendly because there's a lot of responsibility that's put on a tank's shoulders. You're in charge of creating the pressure and initiating the team fights. You're trying to protect your allies. You're the front of the line. And it's just a lot on one person that's starting out in the game. But if that's what you want to be, hey, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And I'll give you a couple heroes that I think are best for beginners. First up, guys, is Magneto. And he might have some kind of tough to use abilities and complex, but he's pretty beginner friendly, all things considered. He's got a giant metallic curtain that he can put up for a short duration that can block all incoming projectiles. And then you have two other shields, one that you can throw around yourself, and that's going to protect you from damage, and one that you can put on teammates. Both of these are going to charge up one of his attacks, so you have kind of two for the price of one, and it's pretty easy to get the hang of them once you've done a couple of games. You're going to feel like you haven't done too much damage. I think his primary is really solid, but you may not feel like you're doing anything flashy, but trust me, it does add up. Has good splash damage, and as you get hit from those shields, you're charging up that right click for a giant amount of damage. Now, you combine that with what used to be the best team-up ability in the game, which was his sword. He gets access to a whole new ability if Scarlet Witch is on your team. Still very strong and makes him even more of kind of a tank DPS split. And then his ultimate, which can suck in all projectiles, and the longer you hold it up, you want to suck those in, and then you throw down a giant spirit bomb, like I like to say from Dragon Ball Z, to kill enemies pretty easily. Overall, guys, his kit just really complements one another very well, and that makes him great to use. And then, guys, we end the video on Doctor Strange, who might be the hardest on today's list, but he just defines being a tank, right? You've got a big-ass shield that has up to 800 health, and it covers a huge area to protect your team from ultimates and any abilities. But then he has insane primary fire, dealing a lot of damage, but coming at the cost of getting dark magic, which you can just think of going purple. If you see his cloak start to go purple or the meter in the middle of the screen going to 100, press E, release the magic, and then you're able to do a lot of damage. If you don't, you have the con of not being able to be healed. So make sure you do that. That's one step above kind of beginner practice that you'll want to get used to anyway. On top of that, great abilities. He can fly for a short duration, and he has a portal that it can be a noob trap a little bit, but man, you can put teammates through this thing to get to the point easier. You can shoot through it. You can troll the enemy team, but it has the longest cooldown, so you need to be careful not to just use it off the rip or just sit there at spawn and try to find a spot for it. And make sure you get used to using it first, but if you learn how to master it, it's pretty solid. And then lastly, he's got an ultimate, which is a giant AoE attack that stuns everybody, and it's a nice way to kind of contribute to the team fight and initiate it to set up success. So guys, I wish you luck out there. The best way you can get better is by playing more, and I plan on doing a ton of essential tips, not only on every single character, but just in general, things that I wish I knew a lot sooner. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If it did help you in any way, you can help me out by subscribing down below if you want to be caught up on all the content to come and the stuff that I already have. Anyway, guys, good luck out there. Happy launch. Have a good one. Have a great one. Until the next one, happy rivaling.